Cybersecurity is in the forefront of the news these days, and with that, cybersecurity education is also growing, including in Erie at Mercyhurst University. And joining us on This Week in Erie is Dr. Christopher Mansour, the cybersecurity expert and professor in the Ridge College of Intelligence Studies and Applied Sciences at Mercyhurst. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
This is such an important topic right now. Let's first, though, talk about Mercyhurst. What's Mercyhurst's role in cybersecurity education?
So basically, cybersecurity falls under the Ridge College, which pioneered since 1992 the teaching in intelligence studies. And Mercyhurst was the first in the region to add cybersecurity to its programs and the intelligence studies department. We established a department of cybersecurity to teach this trending topic because we feel there is a need to protect the information and the digital information in the cyberspace. And we offer an undergraduate and graduate degrees in cybersecurity. And we also have a 4-course certificate in cybersecurity for people who want to do a career shift or even advance their career without necessary background in information technology. We prepare them to get the necessary knowledge in order to proceed into the cybersecurity field as well. And that certificate matches the body of knowledge that certain industry certifications require. So by being at Mercyhurst, taking this certificate or any of our undergraduate or graduate program, you end up getting a degree or a certificate with the body of knowledge recommended to be matching with the state of the art in this area.
So the certificate would be for someone who already has a degree and wants to enhance that.
Exactly,
Okay.
or someone who wants to just basically be in this domain or learn about this domain as a test to see if he or she likes that domain, and basically that certificate could count towards a master's degree if they add more courses, of course.
What's the job market like? I imagine it's growing for cybersecurity.
Yes, of course. According to latest statistics from the Department of Labor, basically it has been growing since 2012. There's an estimate between 2012 and 2022. It's been growing at a rate of 37%, which is the highest compared to other areas of job market.
Now, we hear about cybersecurity and the threats of cybersecurity. What exactly is cybersecurity?
So basically, cybersecurity is the domain in which we kind of look for policies and actions to protect our information while at rest, in action, or in motion. By at rest, I mean while the information are being stored in your computer or on your servers, your kind of information or your business information, and while in action, while being processed or being dealt with, and while in motion, which is while being exchanged from one device to another in the cyber world. So the cybersecurity is all the actions and policies to protect that kind of information from being accessed by malicious hackers or bad actors out there who wants to gain access to that information illegally in an unauthorized manner in order to leak it or modify it or disrupt any kind of service.
Well, and too, we were speaking earlier, it all ends up on the dark web, or it's associated with the dark web. Tell us about that, because that's something we hear about, it seems like, on a TV show, and like, oh, that doesn't really exist, but it's real, and it's a big threat to everybody.
Yeah, exactly. So when a data breach happens, certain information get leaked about people. You may ask yourself, well, what happens to that information? Well, the first thing the hackers do with that information is they sell it on the dark web. And for those of you who don't know what the dark web is an encrypted portion of the internet that is not indexed by search engines like Google or Bing. So basically, the dark web is the biggest part of the internet, actually, that is not indexed. You cannot just immediately visit the dark web. There is a particular way you end up going on the dark web. Now, the kind of information that is available on the dark web, that is the information that is really dangerous, that hackers sell on the dark web, actually. This includes personally identifiable information, like your name, your last name, your physical address, your phone number, your social security number, financial information, such as credit, debit card information, banks, any kind of financial documents, medical records, academic records, or even your user credentials. So those kind of information end up on the dark web. And hackers sell that information on the dark web to other people or other bad actors that want to cause harm. And the amount that they sell that information for is really cheap. It's like, you'd think it's very expensive, but it is cheap. Like, personally identifiable information can be sold for a single dollar per line, which means, say your name is John Smith, living at 123 Main Street. That is worth $2 because it's 2 lines. Throw in a city or a zip code, that's worth $3 on the dark web. Bank accounts can be found on the dark web for $25 per account. PayPal accounts can range between $50 to $300. Now, the more history the PayPal account has, the more expensive it gets on the dark web, because if it is being used by bad actors, it is less likely to be detected as malicious.
What can someone do? I mean, is there any way to get your information off the dark web, or how do you protect yourself from getting it there? Or should we all assume most of our stuff's already there?
Before we go into to protect yourself, one other thing that is really important to note, or what could happen there, is when hackers gain access to your personally identifiable information, they tend to steal your identity or claim your identity, and they basically can sell that information to advertising agencies that are specialized in spamming campaigns. And another repercussion there also that I want to mention is if hackers gain access to your user credentials, then you gave them a key to a gold mine of information. We all use emails on our daily basis to conduct business, right? And our accounts are sometimes linked to cloud providers where we store our data securely, assuming securely. So if those user credentials end up on the dark web, then hackers can access your email and the cloud storage to get all this mine of information. It's a gold mine for them to use those information against you. Now, going to your question, what can we do to protect ourselves? The first advice we usually give to people is to basically follow a good password hygiene. So there's a joke that we say in our community. We say, treat your password as your underwear. You change it regularly and you don't share it. So that's what we always say. Please make sure you change your password regularly and do not share it with others. And when you choose a password, make sure you select a sophisticated password that cannot be easily guessed by someone. An example would be, and that's what we recommend in the security community, to go with a passphrase rather than a password or one word. Select a passphrase from a book that you like the most and play with every other letter, one uppercase, one lowercase, throw in special characters and a couple of digits there, say replace an S with a $sign, a no with a 0 and something like that. And then you end up having a longer passphrase that you know because you know the phrase that you like the most. And it's secure because it is long in size, and basically hackers will have difficulty trying to guess that password. This is in terms of hygiene. We also recommend, for example, to use password management applications. Those applications take care of generating complex passwords on your behalf, and they update those passwords regularly in order to make sure that you are always safe. So instead of falling a victim for using the same password to multiple accounts, which happens all the time, most of us has like multiple social media, multiple Facebook accounts or Twitter accounts or bank accounts that all share the same username and password. And this is dangerous because if one account ends up on the dark web, then all of these accounts are vulnerable to a breach by hackers. So if you use password management application, it will take care of generating random passwords for each and every account of those and store those passwords encrypted for you on your device. You only need to memorize one master password for that vault of passwords.
What's a good one you suggest people use?
So I'm not advertising, but I personally use LastPass, and I highly recommend it because it is synchronized with the cloud and it is encrypted with a good encryption mechanism. It comes with a small fee overall per year. The fee is acceptable. It's not very expensive. But there's also Dashlane, which is a really good another alternative. There's KeyPass, and say if your framework at home is all the time Apple devices, Apple has a good one, the keychain. They take care also of generating passwords and encrypting those for you.
Okay, and also, you know, we always see the antivirus software. Does that work still?
So this is what I just mentioned is all for the passwords.
Okay, so
So antivirus, yes, it is an important software, or anti-malware in general.
Right.
So malware is a word that defines malicious software. So it's a combination of two words. And those malicious software basically try to, say, steal information from your computer while you're using your computer or your device in the background, like spywares. They can spy on the actions and activities that you do on the machine. They can take that information back and report to the mothership, or basically to the hacker who implanted those on your machine. So anti-malware or anti-virus software basically are designed by companies and updated regularly to basically include a signature, what we call a signature, which means certain characteristic of a particular malware that has been identified already. So if you have an antivirus, that is always updated with the latest updates, then that antivirus will basically detect the existence of that possible malicious software on your computer or not. But this is one type of defense that you can use. We always recommend to go beyond that kind of way of defense, like anti-malware or antiviruses. We recommend to, it's a little bit investment here though, it's more oriented towards medium to small businesses, but we recommend to go beyond signature-based detection like antiviruses, because today hackers and the hacking community are getting more smarter. They are able to design a virus that changes its behavior on the fly. So the signature basically that the antivirus use to detect the existence of that malicious software is not there anymore. So the behavioral-based detection, which is an advanced version of antivirus or a different technique of antivirus, basically leverage artificial intelligence and predicts an action before that action happens.
It's amazing. And I'm sure, like you said, with this, the cyber education too at Mercyhurst, it must be the kind of thing where every year you go in and it's like, what are we going to have to deal with now?
Yes.
Or daily, really.
Exactly. It's updated on the fly. Myself and my colleagues all the time are always following the latest news and the latest trend to provide our students with the best knowledge in the area. And we have state-of-the-art laboratory that allows us to basically implement experiments for our students and have them work with hands-on on certain problems, and that gives our students actually, when they leave Mercyhurst, a leg up in the market, because they actually dealt with viruses, dealt with malicious software. They learned ethically how to protect the computer systems, personal devices, or the organizations. They learned about the different trends in hacking and malicious activity that is going on in order to protect themselves. They learned what's going on outside to protect themselves, and they're able to be effective individuals in the society to protect their community, themselves, and the organizations they end up working at.
Well, boy, you know, I have kids who are college age, and, you know, talking about degrees that are going to be useful and get you a job, it sounds like this would be a kind of a sure thing almost.
Of course.
I mean, just because, like you said, the threat's not going away.
The threat is not going away. There's always going to be challenges. There's always going to be hacks. There's always going to be something going on in the cyber world. There is a concept we call in our community zero-day vulnerability, which is basically weaknesses or vulnerabilities that make your system vulnerable to attacks and threats in the cyberspace, but you did not know they existed. So hackers leverage those vulnerabilities every time. So that's why this kind of domain will never end. Security is not 100%. Cybersecurity is not 100%. You always have to work hard. You always have to be updated. You always have to know what's going on so that you can keep up and protect yourself. So this is not going away, no.
Well, thank you so much. So much information today, not only about the program at Mercyhurst, but to start protecting ourselves, and need to go, I think, sign up for a password protection website.
Yep.
Because I feel like I violated a lot of your suggestions, but I'm sure a lot of people do. Does it frustrate you if you see someone with the password 1234?
It's actually.
I'm just kidding.
It's actually one of the commonly used
people
passwords
do
multiple
that.
years
surprised.
when surveys gets released with the latest statistics. The number one used password would be 123456, and the number 2 or 3 comes 123456 789. So they think by adding 789, it's more advanced.
They're tripping
Unfortunately,
people.
that's the easiest password to break.
Wow.
Now, before we leave, if you don't mind,
No,
if I can
go ahead,
add,
please.
for small to medium organizations, especially with the end of life of Windows 7, for example, this current week, Microsoft has announced the end of Windows 7. So I want to get this message outside. Make sure you basically try as much as you can to move on from Windows 7, update to Windows 10, because you will not get any more security updates to protect yourself. Now, if you feel you cannot move on currently quickly in the necessary rate, make sure to take the necessary precautions. So this could be basically purchasing from Microsoft the extended support, which Microsoft now promises you, only you, with some security updates in order to help you, but that could be a little bit expensive for you, and the price would double every year from now to 3 years only. Another thing, if you cannot move on from that particular device, make sure to implement some sort of a firewall or an intrusion detection to basically monitor incoming traffic to that device or outgoing traffic, because now the hackers are looking for people who are still using Windows 7, especially in nonprofits or banks or industries that they cannot quickly update those systems because they have critical business they're running on. so to target you. So now you have to be careful. Tell your IT department to be careful.
Okay, Dr. Christopher Mansour, thank you so much. So interesting. And thank you for joining us on This Week in Erie. And that'll do it for us.